Do you remember when you started what you currently do right now? Do you remember how excited you were just talking about it? Do you remember the fire and the energy you had in you, just sharing your ideas with people, with the world? Do you remember how excited you were just to do this thing, just to let people see it, just to prove to yourself that I'm good at this? Maybe it started when you were little, like it did for me when I was 7 years old, and I was pointing at the tallest building in Ibadan and saying, one day I'll build something like this. And every decision I made from that particular time up until like going to university was just so that I could become an architect. But then it's been 10 years since School of Architecture, and I've left it all behind. You might be thinking, damn, that's crazy, right? Why would you spend your entire life trying to achieve something and become something only to leave it to pursue something else? But life isn't white or black. There are gray areas. Life is in one way. There are moments where you would experience a boom. There are moments where you would see clarity. There are moments where you would be excited to become something. And just like you, maybe when you were 7, they would ask you, what do you want to be? And you probably say something around doctor. You probably say astronaut. You probably say pilot. We said these things. But then we realized that as we grew older, there's a reality that is very much different from when we were kids. And right now, you need to evolve. But then people who stay stuck in that space or who still pursue that particular path, you might think they're crazy. No, they are not. Because there are two separate things that I constantly see when it comes to making a decision to pursue a life, a career, or whatever it is. And the first one is something you believe is an identity for you. Like I always believed that architecture was an identity. And then the second one is a stepping stone to something else. And I think it's very important to understand these two things because if you think your way of life is your identity and you stick with it, it's supposed to give you some level of results. But then on the other hand, if you see it as a stepping stone to something else, it brings you a little bit of issues because you're constantly fighting the need to conform, the need to seek validation, and the need to figure out what is the next moving thing. But within these two spaces, there is good news, especially for people who might consider themselves as multiple potential people or multi-potentialized, like they call it. Now, I'm that kind of person, and I've told you several times that that is the kind of person I am. I can't just sit and have one idea. I probably have 10, and the creative genius in me would want to pursue all 10 of them. But I always end up getting to a place where I get stuck because I do something with 50%, I drop it, pick another one at 30%, I drop it. And it happens over and over again. And as this was happening, I realized that I'm actually in a space where I have become the bottleneck and I need to solve this. So if you're like this, listen to me. The first thing you need to understand is nothing is your identity and everything is a stepping stone to a new level. And I'll give you the analogy of your plateau as an example. So you're climbing, and as you climb, you know that there's a high point you need to get to. Architecture, for example. From 7-year-old, I started climbing the architectural ladder, and I was going up, 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 went through secondary school, was really good at technical drawing. Any subject that required art, drawing, all of that, I was acing it. And I got to a place where I had to make a decision, architecture or engineering. I still chose architecture, and I kept going. I kept going. I kept going. And I got to the peak, which is becoming an architect. And at that point, for me, that seemed so cool That thing I've been chasing since I was young, I've gotten there. So what next? I found myself at a plateau. And a plateau is a place where there is no more high points to go. All you find is level ground. But realize that when you are on the ground, it is level. When you get to the top of the plateau, it is also level. And a part of you, which is living and human, would want to actually aim for something higher, which is very natural. So what do? You don't just look for an helicopter to carry you from your plateau to the next highest point. No, you have to come down that plateau, get to the bottom of it, find another mission, another hill, another mountain that is much more higher, that is more fitting for your goal, and then you start to climb. And with that climb, something happens. The architectural ladder was a bit slow because it took years. But then climbing the new one, let's say being an entrepreneur or being a founder, that new one might be a lot higher, but it takes you quicker to climb. Why? Because you spent years understanding how to climb a particular mountain. So climbing a new one, you apply the techniques, you apply the strategies, you apply the everything that you can apply to climb this new one, and it makes your speed and your growth faster. So it took me several years to get to architecture or to become an architect, but then it took me just about 6 years to really understand the best ways to build a business, to grow a community, to do all of these things I do right now. Why? Because all those things I learned within that period of studying architecture was useful in climbing a much higher place that is giving me purpose right now. And the same thing applies to you. No matter what it is you're studying right now that you're doing, you can always rebuild something else if you feel like it is no longer serving you. And I'm speaking to you with the hopes that you understand that I'm not discouraging you from what you're doing right now. All I'm telling you is if you feel like this is a plateau, don't wait at that plateau hoping that something will magically lift you up and take you to the higher point. No. You have to come down, which is very humbling, but you have to come down. It is very important. You have to come down. And at the point of coming down, you realize that you're learning stuff even while coming down. That is you relearning stuff. You're learning content creation, you're learning video editing, you're learning storytelling, you're learning whatever it is that you're learning. That is the point of coming down. And in order to get to the bottom again, when you understood the process of climbing, coming down, your speed to climb higher becomes faster. And this is the secret of every overnight success you see. Nobody sees them when they're climbing that hard mountain for years. They get to a plateau and they come down. That coming down is humbling. And then what people now start to see is after they've started climbing again, and it starts to look very exponential. It's going like this. And you're wondering, how did you do it? Which is the question many of us ask, which is the wrong question. What you should actually be asking is, what did you understand while climbing that I can apply to myself to climb faster? I see several people send me emails and DMs asking for all sort of things, mentor me and all of that. But there was one question I saw that was very on point, and what the person asked for was, Dim, how did you know that this is the right place to be in? What made you choose this particular career path? And what have you learned so far that if someone who is starting, say, 10 years behind you, how can they catch up or how can they do better than you at the moment? And when I read that, I was like, this person knows the secret to leverage. And that's what I'm sharing with you. For the past couple of weeks, this is what I've been sharing with you. If you don't know how to ask questions that gives you leverage, you are already at a disadvantage. So at the plateau, you come down, you start climbing again. The point of climbing again gives you speed because you are applying everything you've learned. Don't think any information, any knowledge, any experience, any degree is a waste. No, it's not. It gives you access to be able to climb. And there are 3 important things you need to understand when you get to a plateau. You feel stuck. It's as though you wasted your life on that particular degree, going to school for 6 years, for 4 years, or some people 10 years, and now you're left blank, no progress, no results. But remember when I asked you the first question, which was, remember how you felt when you were starting that particular thing? There was that joy. You go into uni, you were excited, or whatever it is. The reason why that happens is beginning a new journey is always exciting when you don't know what the end is going to look like. Well, at least you have an idea of where it's taking you. Because you understood studying a particular course, at the end, you get a certificate. But now you're in a place where there is no certificate. There is no pat on the back of job well done. It's a lot harder to walk through a path like this. So 3 things. First, remind yourself daily that you're not a failure. A lot of people spend months, even years, thinking to themselves that they are a failure because they left one path that they've spent years in to do something else. You're not a failure. You just understood that now is the time to pivot and climb something else and achieve different results and take a completely different path. Or your past experiences are not wasted. They are proof that you are human and that you're growing. That's one. Accept or remind yourself that you're not a failure. 2, what you're climbing now, does it give you room to actually be your best self? If you answer that question as yes, then you're actually on the right path. And how do you know that you're on the right path? One is that every day you wake up feeling very enthusiastic and very excited to chase whatever it is you want to chase. I wake up every day feeling, oh wow, it's another beautiful day to share my ideas, to give guidance to people who want to, actually make something of their lives, just like I have, or just like I'm doing. It goes from being someone who is doing a work or a job to actually living my life's work, like a legacy. That's how you know that you're on the right path. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, what job, none of those things matter. What matters most is, do you feel like you're fulfilling your life's work or your life's mission? Very important. Now, I'm not saying purpose, because that's something entirely different. Your life's work. It is, what do you want to do with your life that impacts people? Purpose that's a whole new topic, which we'll talk about soon. But we need to tackle this. So ask yourself that question. And then the third thing is, even if the results that you really want to get is not coming, choose to still stay happy and excited and keep your spirit alive. Because the fastest way to burn yourself out of a life that is right for you is to focus solely on results. Results are not the things to focus on. The process and the journey is more important, because you learn more on that journey. Just like as you're climbing, you learn as you climb, and that's your reward. Because this new place you're in, that new mountain you're climbing, without certificates, without rewards, it has no reward. It has no ending point. It is continuous. You might go to a place where it feels like a plateau, but if you look up again, you realize that, oh, it's just a very small steep, like a flat area of a steep. It continues. You have to keep climbing. And you need to understand that. Now, what is the implication of all of this that I'm telling you? The implication of it is that where you are right now is not where you're going to be forever. You still have so much in yourself to build on. So I need you to take note of that. I need you to take some time today or this week and pen down some of the things you believe are no longer working for you. Are you studying microbiology? Okay, this is no longer working for me. In the next 10 years, would I still find myself in this line of work? A lot of questions. I'll put some of them in the description so that at least you have a general overview of what to actually do with this. And then the next steps now would be take stock of the results you have in your life right now. Those things matter more to you than any other thing, because if you don't create room to understand what results you have right now, the good things in your life, everything you've achieved, your accomplishments, it'll be very hard for you to not see that life you're about to live to attain something else as a waste. So this is me encouraging you. You know it is time to pivot. You know it is time to drop or to move away from that thing you've been doing for, say, 5, 10, 6 years, to move on to something else that would even give you exponential growth. This is my call to you. Take it. It would feel daunting. And the reason why it is daunting is because you're coming down the plateau. But then everything you've learned from climbing definitely is going to help you to climb higher.